Well, let's talk today a little bit about free roam in a sand patch environment. I had set this string of trains up, and I don't want to take all of them. I'm just going to grab this one, and let me grab that and get in the engine, and we'll start talking about sandbox. Did I say sand patch? I meant the sandbox. Where a sandbox is kind of a blank slate. There's no trains. You have the route. It's yours. It's freely yours to do what you want. You then add some trains, like I just did, and then you're off to do what you want. That's that's what it's all about. Only, even now, as of this moment of this recording, we're in Train Sim World 6, and Sandbox still doesn't run completely air free. I'm in a SD40, and if you were to just get into Sandbox mode and place a SD40 in there, it wouldn't run. Or it may run, but it will have problems. It's problematic for sure. I've had them run for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden, you know, they quit. So let's talk about an alternative to setting up a sandbox environment and not have any trouble at all with any engine. Because right now, sandbox works with some engines, but not all. Um, as you can see, I'm not in the sandbox environment, and that's one of the keys to it. I still got trains there. I can remove trains, but I don't have a lot, and I'll tell you why. Let's get into what I'm doing. Is I'm starting out, instead of in the sandbox mode, in the timetable mode. If I select a particular train in the timetable mode, I'll have to get out and start building. So this is what I do. Let me save where I'm at, because I want to come back to this without having to recreate it. And I go on the menu, into trains, to the trains, choose a route. I'm going to do San Bernardino. Instead of free roam sandbox, I'm going to go over to timetable. And then I'm going to pick San Bernardino weekend. And then instead of picking an engine, now I do like picking engines because you won't have a clean slate like a sandbox. You'll have trains all over the route, on in the moving trains, AI trains, as well as static trains over the route. But we're talking today. What do we do if we want a clean slate? We don't want trains all around. So I picked on foot, as you can see. I always forget where I'm going, but this is good because you're going to see, if I go to San Depot, I always go custom weather. I'm not quite where I want to be. I want to be down this way in this yard here, so I can do a transfer. And I love this about the new Train Sim World. You can transfer, uh, teleport, if you will, to wherever you want to be. I still have some trains, so it's not totally a sandbox. There are some trains and a couple of engines, but for the most part, the route is clear. I don't know. Every route may be a little different, but this route is clear if you go on foot at this time of day. But what will happen is, I say it's pretty clear of static trains. You did have that 1 yard with a lot of passengers sitting there static, but there are AI trains running. I want to go ahead and put out the SD40, and I'm just going to put out the engine and spawn the engine here just to show you how I did it. You walk up to the track, hit the tab key, and then pick what you want, and there you go. So let's get back. Now you know what I did to create my engines or populate the trains. But by doing it on the on-foot timetable mode, I do have this mod that allows me to put the clouds back into play or anything, or set the time of day. But by doing it in the timetable mode, all the engines work. It fixes all the problems. I've been doing this for a while, and I don't have any issues with any of my engines whatsoever. I don't know why this is something that isn't getting fixed by the development team, so you can go with the sandbox and not have to do this creative thing I'm doing here. Now, sandboarding thing, look at all these spurs. This is the kind of thing I want to see in a route as a U.S. freight guy, wanting to see on a route spurs to do local deliveries. And I know every time I say that word, people say, Run 8. Why aren't you using Run 8? Run 8 is not my train game of preference. Train Sim World is. So I'm doing my best to make Train Sim World. Now, you are probably, if you're a Run 8 fan, fine. What can I say? You don't get it. I love Train Sim World. I don't care for Run 8. And we can talk about Run 8 a little later, what my problems are with it. But nevertheless, Train Sim World is a balance between full simulation and arcade. And that bothers a lot of people. Yeah, there, I said it. It's a balance between arcade and it's never full simulation. But it feels, in my mind, it's a simulator as much as I want it to be a simulator, as much as I'm interested in spending a few hours a day train simming and not worrying about just all the fine details and nuances of everything being simulated. But nevertheless, here I am. I'm running the engines I want using the on-foot mode that comes under the on-foot selection that comes under timetable. The only issue now is, even though I got a pretty clear route without much in the way of static trains, so I can put my own static trains in, I do I say that with hesitancy because I do like using the timetable by choosing the engine and taking advantage of that, because it does populate a lot more freight all over the route. But either way, either if you want the clear slate of a sandbox using the on-foot, or a more populated route using just the regular timetable and choosing a train and running that train or getting off and doing the same thing, you can get off and populate your own trains on it. Either way, there's one drawback, and that drawback is AI trains. AI trains still exist of course, AI trains are going to be there in any of the timetable modes, any of the chosen timetable selections, or even on foot. But I'll tell you a little secret. At first I didn't like this, but now I like it. And that is, at the end of the day, the timetable stops. So if you run your trains all day long in timetable mode, you're fighting AI trains that are on their own timetable, and they're working against you and turning the. And you have, in some ways, it's great because you have to wait for the signals. You have to wait till the track is clear. And other times, and I think most of the time, it's just a nuisance because there's never ending amount of AI trains getting in the way. So if you don't want to mess with AI trains, go on foot. But you still, I mean, you still gonna have AI. I'm sorry. You can still go to the timetable, but you can still have AI. But once the day ends and the clock strikes 12, it's like Disney magic. Timetable stops. I tested this. I hadn't tested it repeatedly, but I'm pretty sure over the few times it has worked for me, that you can have what you want as long as you get past the 12 o'clock midnight hour. The next day is free of AI trains. And if you jumped in a timetable and it's the static trains are fully populated, wonderful. If you jumped in on foot and there's no static trains other than the ones you wanted to add yourself, wonderful. Either way, you're now free without AI trains. Well, only problem is, who wants to sit around with the computer going to midnight? So I do have the God mod, which is a downloadable mod that you can get. And I'll set that to 2355 minutes and let it run for 5-10 minutes until the clock strikes midnight, and it works like a charm. I'm doing it right now, and then once you've gone over into the next day and there's no more AI trains, you can get back into God mod and set the clock to sometime in the morning or any time of day you want, and you're good to go. I mean, you're good to go. So hopefully that's clear, helpful. It's a darn shame that we can't just go into sandbox mode and be off. I've tried it on different routes. I've tried it on Horseshoe Curve. I tried it in Sand Patch Grade. I tried sandbox here in San Bernardino. It never works for all of the engines, particularly this engine. I think the GP38 doesn't work. Some of the more modern engines I think work, but you know, you're never sure because sometimes things work for a little while, and then when you go you know, it's funny because it may work until the point where you go and select. I can't think. On the route, when you want to select where your destination, you get into the map and you say, "Hey, I want to go, 15 miles down. I want clear signals all the way." You make that selection, then you come back, and all of a sudden the engine doesn't work. But anyway, this has been phenomenal, and I want for those who have given up on free roam, you don't have to. Try this. I don't know. It works with me on my computer and a few routes I've tried. I don't know if it's going to work on all the routes, but give it a go. and see if it does just what I said. So key things: go into timetables. Sandbox is not going to work for all engines, so go into timetable. Choose on foot if you want a clear route. For the most part, go to midnight. Let it run through to the next day, and you won't have AI trains bothering you. That's about all I have for you today. But I do want to continue on part 2, the same train as we're running. We're going to run to the end of the to my destination where those spurs were I was showing you, and do some local deliveries. And that would just be for fun, but I first wanted to tell you how I set it up. And once you do some local deliveries, you can then go back to the yard. You can put more trains on the yard, and you're free forever. And I never lose it because I'll just save this, and I'll save it as I go. And it's like having a career mode. It really is. So if you're interested, part 2 will be coming out very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully it was helpful, and we'll catch you next time.